Hey, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Mike Jacks, based out of Orlando, Florida, with EXP Realty. So today I am making a video this evening about investors. Now I'm going to give you my opinion, my humbled opinion of the top 4 mistakes investors make with licensed realtors when they decide to use a real estate agent, and try to avoid doing these 4 things prior to getting with a real estate agent to buy an investment home. Now, before I say this, I want to say that I am not saying this is all investors. I think investors are some of the best type of clients realtors can deal with, because they're mostly time cash buyers, and they're trying to, get a property, and they're trying to do their agenda, whether it's rehabbing it, fixing flips, or, whatever they want to do with it, make it a secondary residence, whatever. There's a lot of things investors do. So, all right, so let's get into the top 4 mistakes that investors would need to try to avoid before getting with a licensed realtor. Number 1, communication. I've worked with investors before, and a lot of investors get so caught up and so busy into looking at the market, they forget to pick up the phone. And guess what, guys? If you don't communicate with the realtor, you're going to lose a deal, because contracts and time and housing, the market, it doesn't wait on anybody. And there's a lot of investors out here looking at the same type of homes you are. So you got to be able to communicate, answer your phone, text, whatever it takes, email, and make sure you're on top of it in a timely manner. A second mistake to avoid for an investor is lowballing. I guarantee you most realtors hate when investors do that, because what is lowballing? That's like seriously undervaluing the property, way below the value that it's worth. So let's just say typically you have a home for $150,000. An investor might come around and say, hey, I want to offer $95,000 on this house. I don't think it's worth $150,000. Well, it's like, okay, well, you can think what you want, but the reality is this is listed at $150,000, and if another agent makes it clear on the MLS that says, hey, no lowball offers, I'm not going to entertain that. So if you're an investor and you're going to use a realtor, and a realtor up front tells you that this other agent is not accepting lowball offers, and submit your best offer, then the reality is you're not going to be able to get that home. Now, to the investor's point, I've talked with many of them, and to their point, from their perspective, the ones that I've spoken with, not all investors, but the ones I've spoken with, they will say things like, well, the house has been on the market for a long time, and I'm not going to pay that, this and that. Yeah, but the reality is, if they want to sell it for $95,000, they will, especially when they have other offers. Now, if the house has been in for a long time, those are different situations. But even still, if the house is livable and not as bad as condition, I have a hard time believing somebody will take almost $60,000 less than what they want. So investors kind of got to be a little bit realistic too, that, you can meet halfway, but lowballing people, hey, but to each his own. Some people might do it and have success with it. I don't know. But if you're going with a licensed realtor, definitely avoid trying to lowball off the top, A third mistake I would say that investors need to avoid is not having proof of funds. So what does that mean? If you're going to invest in a home and you're using a realtor too, then, you're going to have to eventually show some type of income, or way that some type of documentation to show that you're able to purchase the home. You can't just come up and say, hey, I got $150,000 cash in my briefcase, I'm ready to buy this house. Title company's going to want you to wire money. You're going to have to send that money over to a title company during closing. So yeah, you're going to have some type of proof of funds prior to putting an offer on the house. So if you're scouting out houses and you're looking at houses, make sure you have all that documentation up front, because it makes the home search process easier for you and the realtor. And the fourth mistake that I would say, for me, that I've experienced, and many realtors as well, is investors in their own analysis of the market. Now, an investor most of the time is buying a house because, like I mentioned earlier in the video, they have different reasonings, right? It's not going to be their primary residence. We know that. They're going to probably buy it for other purposes: secondary home, rent it out, fix it up, flip it, sell it again. But whatever the reasons are, you got to understand your idea and knowledge of the market, no matter how experienced you are, is going to be probably very indifferent between the realtors, because a realtor has different data that they use and metrics. Some investors don't care about certain things. They only care about what they're going to make in their home. So the things that they might not prioritize or care about, a realtor has to consider that, because at the end of the day, when we're helping you buy that home, it's not our problem if you want to do something with it. But the reality is there's going to be some expenses that come up that an investor might not, account for. So like, for an example, when you have an inspection, some investors might not count at the amount of details an inspection requires. So while you don't have to worry about an appraisal if you're paying cash, an inspection, on the other hand, there might be some things that you didn't account for that's not right with the house. And once you get a professional inspection done, you might have to have a budget different than what you went into there thinking, and it might need more work. That happens a lot, especially when investors are trying to lowball people and get this steal of a deal. They don't anticipate the budget. So this is where realtors come in, and they can get, things negotiated for you to help you kind of minimize some of that up front. But my whole point is, investors, if you're going to come to a licensed agent, make sure you account for that budget to repair just enough to what you want to do with your goal. Because I've seen it occasionally. Some investors have never done it, or they've done it a lot, but they haven't worked in certain areas. They might be in other states, and then they come down here to Florida and be like, oh, well, where I'm from, we don't have to worry about all this. Well, this is Florida. This is not where you're from. So this is why you got to get a licensed agent who knows this area better than you, who has more expertise and knowledge, and can help you up front with those costs and having a better idea. So those are the 4 things that I wanted to mention. Some things, some mistakes that investors can avoid when they get with a realtor. So yeah, this is not a video to bash investors, guys. I hope it's not taken like that. I don't think it is, because if you know me and see my videos, I don't bash anybody. And I just mentioned early in this video that investors are some of the best type of clients to work with. Walking through the rainbow lights here is pretty cool. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video and bring it to the attention, so that way the lowballing thing is really something people got to really be cautious of, because that turns off agents. And as an agent, when you present that offer to another agent, it actually makes us look bad as realtors, because we're like, hey, we're both professionals here, and you're sending me a lowball offer. Like, come on. So a lot of agents have a pet peeve about that. So realtors, let's respect our craft, and let's set the expectations up front when investors try that attempt. If they're going to lowball, it has to be something that supports the data that they can, I guess, lowball, if you will. But yeah, everybody's definition of lowball is different, but I'm talking about like a vast gap of what's being asked for to sell the home and get in return. So, lowball for someone might be $10,000, $15,000, but the lowball I'm being specifically talking about is like when people going like 50, 60K way under. And there are people who do stuff like that. And honestly, that's going to be an insult to the other agent and the potential seller. All right, guys, so I hope this video helps. If you're going to work with an investor, or you're an investor working with a licensed agent, make sure you try to avoid those things up front, so that way you can make your goals a lot smoother when you're trying to obtain them. All right, guys, hope you guys have an amazing evening. Be blessed.